Once, when I was in high school, I was sent to the principal's office for the most incriminating laugh of my life because we were copying really seriously. And my buddy Lucho sent me a forbidden meme, the kind that's not suitable for class time. But as soon as I saw it, I covered my mouth, my eyes teared up, and a weird little sound came out of me like a flat tire. So the teacher looked straight at me and said,
"Let's see, Manuel, share the joke."
Then, red-faced, I said, "No ma'am, it's not funny." But Lucho whispers to me, "Breathe man." And then I burst out in a monumental laugh that echoed through the classroom. And the teacher just said one word, principal's office. One time, when at the school's Christmas party they set up a Santa-themed inflatable, Mojarrín shouted,
"Let's do the reindeer jump!"
And before I could tell him no, he was already climbing up onto a corner of the inflatable. But Tizok and Panza started jumping so hard that Mojarrín was launched like a Christmas projectile, straight into a star-shaped piñata. Then the piñata exploded, the candy rained down like a Christmas blessing, and a kid shouted, "Christmas miracle!" And from that day on, the principal banned all kinds of inflatables. And that day, the event was called the Flight of Mojarrín. Once when I was in middle school, my buddy Tripas whispered to me, "Wanna see something really insane?" And like a fool, I said yes, but the guy pulled out a little bag with something black in it and whispered to me, "It's a human finger." So I turned paler than oxo bread, broke out in a cold sweat and said, "Tripas, where did you get that?" Then the sicko threw it into my hand and I screamed so loud that I knocked over the bench, my friend Roberta's pencil case, and almost the teacher. And in the end it was a rotten banana. Since that day, whenever Tripa says, "Look at this," I run. One time, when I was in middle school, the strictest teacher expelled my friend Jorgito from school for slamming the door in his face. Because I was going to art class, but the teacher wasn't showing up and there were only 10 minutes left before class ended. So we started playing by pushing the door so nobody could get in. Then at that moment, Chuchito came out and we shouted to Jorgito, "Push, push, don't let him in!" And Jorgito with all his might was pushing as if he were defending the gates of heaven. But then, we saw that Jorgito was losing and a face peeked in from outside the door. It was the teacher with crooked glasses and an angry bull's face. But Jorgito kept pushing with all his strength and we shouted at him, "Abort mission, abort mission." And Jorgito, he looks up and when he saw the teacher's face, he even fainted.
Push! Push!
Once I ordered some sneakers online that were supposed to be the fastest in the world, and they were supposed to make me run like Lightning McQueen, and I could already feel the speed in my veins. So I waited for them like they were the last Coke in the desert. But when they arrived at my house, I almost passed out because they were both left shoes. One was size 28 and the other 32. So I tried to return them, but the store disappeared like my dad. Worst of all, my mom said, "Even if they'd been the right ones, you still wouldn't run fast, dummy." Once when I was 10 years old, I was sure my room was possessed by a demon because at 3 in the morning, I would hear really strange banging noises under my bed. And out of fear, I covered myself with the blanket all the way up to my head because obviously we all know the blanket is like an angelic shield against ghosts. But the noises kept going and this time they sounded even closer. So I grabbed my flying Lightning McQueen sandal. I took a deep breath and moved the bed suddenly, ready to face Satan himself. And in the end, it turned out it was just my dog snoring and farting like he was about to explode. Once, when my little brother Mojarrín was 5 years old, he committed the worst public betrayal of my life because I, being all nice, bought him a double ice cream because he was crying. But as soon as I give it to him, he looks at me and shouts, "Don't eat it, you traitorous rat!" And I hadn't even touched it. Then the whole park stared as if I had jumped the ice cream vendor. And to top it off, my little brother says, "Don't sell him anything, he steals stuff." And now, officially, I'm the ice cream thief. One time a kid disappeared right in front of me like magic because I was at my friend Rodolfo's party, and at the party I found a kid in a little room and he goes and tells me, "Look kid, I'm going to show you a magic trick." And he goes and tells me, "On the count of 3, I'll disappear right before your eyes. 1, 2, 3!" And then he goes and turns off the light in the room. But since the boy was very dark skinned, he really disappeared and I couldn't see him. And in the end I even applauded him because he was an up and coming magician.
If you didn't fight.
One time, a boy humiliated an old lady in a wheelchair who was paraplegic because of something crazy he said. We were at the church celebration for September 15th, and a boy gets up on stage and says, "I want everyone, absolutely everyone, please to stand up to shout Viva Mexico." But well, we all stood up except for the lady, for obvious reasons. And then the damn kid grabs the mic and shouts at the lady, "Stand up lady, don't be such a party pooper, don't be lazy." And honestly, I just stood there like that. One time I was embarrassed on vacation because a lady noticed I had lice and shouted it out loud so everyone would know, because I was on vacation at the beaches of Progreso. And then this lady came by who did exotic hairstyles for 200 pesos. So I asked her to do a Viking hairstyle for me, but then she started parting my hair and realized I had lice. Then the silly woman goes and shouts,
"You have lice, honey."
But loud enough for the whole damn beach to hear. So I whispered to her, "I'll give you 500 pesos if you shut your mouth." And the good thing is she did shut up. But the whole beach had already turned to look at me.
I looked like a fool last night.
One time, because I was fighting with my brother, I dislocated his knee at 3 in the morning. And we had to run to the hospital because we were having a sleepover. And that guy was bullying his friend Tortas. And then Tortas says to me, "Protect me from your brother." So I grabbed him and started wrestling with my brother. But then I pulled a John Cena move on him onto the bed. But the headboard was freaking metal. And he hit his knee. And my brother, crying, says to me, wait, I think I messed up my knee." And I pulled down his pants to check and his knee was sideways. But the problem was that it was the middle of the night and my parents were already asleep. And when I go wake them up, I say, "Dad, Daniel dislocated his knee." And then my mom gets up and says, "What?" And I tell her, "Daniel dislocated his knee, it's crooked." And she turns pale and faints, and well, the rest is history.
Call the police! They're killing me!
One time, my girlfriend started crying because she thought there was a dead dog run over on the road. She saw something black lying there on the road like a lump, and she said, "Oh no, look, they ran over a little dog." So she started crying, but then when we got closer, she realized what it really was. And laughing and crying, she said to me, "Ito, it wasn't a dog, it was a garbage bag." And I said, "No way, I almost started crying because of you too. But the good thing is it wasn't a poor little dog."
Mama, I'm a criminal. Mama, I'm a criminal. Mama, I'm a criminal.